Hey, anime was pretty fucking good this year. And I completely forgot this channel existed. So, let's start the new year right.
Yeah, by making some videos, you lazy fuck.
Yeah, what he said. God, I wish that was me. You know, the title of Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai really reads like a dare to not pick it up, to never acknowledge that series exists even. But genuinely, this bunny girl is a dare worth fully taking on. Seriously, she's fucking hot. And I knew how hot she was before all of you waifu bait fuckers, because I actually read the novel.
Fuck books. Books are for pussies.
Fine, I'll just talk about the anime. Reading is for nerds. Juggling the youthful disconnect between its characters' critical analytical natures and incomplete adolescent perspectives with incredible ease, Bunny Girl Senpai provides personal insight about self-identity as a bunch of youths try to make sense of who they are. A lot of people have described it as a knockoff Bakemonogatari. And, well, I mean, in a way, I guess, but shut the fuck up. With its entire being centered around that paragraph I just said, Bunny Girl Senpai fooled everyone into missing out on cute girls in bunny suits, but actually watching a series about people who probably like you, and definitely like me, are just trying to find their place in this fucking rough world, man. Though the former bunny suit does happen. And honestly, that very bunny suit, like, if you think about it, when you watch through the entire show, skillfully conveyed many of the characters' insecurities and assisted in the contextualization of the whole setup for the assumed identities and crippling self-doubt that happens with every single character's aggressive youth, aggressive adolescence. Everyone's flawed. Everyone's trying to figure themselves out. And Bunny Girl Senpai understands this, what it feels like to be young and isolated, offering sharp reflections on the social realities of not just high school, but adolescence, being a stupid fucking kid. And there is a clear understanding of who many of these kids are as people, how their personalities work, and why they do what they do. And that's just good writing. That's just the heart of Bunny Girl Senpai, because it is simultaneously complex, entertaining, and cathartic. But as much as Bunny Girl Senpai resonates hard with all the people who do come across the board to pick it up, people are still going to dismiss the series as true, superlative value, because these kinds of series, light novels, they're not supposed to be capable of it. Thanks, anime community who doesn't ever actually read. And with that kind of title, I definitely would not have expected all of those words I just said, all of those words that came out of my mouth for something titled Bunny Girl Senpai.
There was an earnestness and a level of sincerity embedded in the heart of A Place Further Than the Universe that made it utterly captivating. Much like its main cast, it's always striving to take you a little out of your comfort zone, to get you to recognize how you really feel and what you really want. Those aren't the easiest things to reconcile, but damn if they aren't necessary. Which isn't to say it took itself too seriously, though. On the contrary, it always knew just when to scale things back by injecting some humor into a moment or simply letting a beautiful scene play out. But the emotional chords it struck were piercing, laying feelings bare in a modest, loving way. A Place Further Than the Universe edifies anyone who takes the time to listen, and it left me all the more emboldened to push for the things I really wanted in 2018. And for that, I am grateful.
Akane and Rika are fucking hot.
Really, dude? That's all you could come up with?
What else am I supposed to fucking write about it? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Ian?
Well, okay, fine, yeah. You're not wrong. Carry on.
So, for all intents and purposes, SSSS Gridman is a love letter of an action series, but it wraps its violence in the neatest possible packaging, repressing it far beneath the surface until it explodes in the form of words and intentions, things that seem to cut far deeper than any mecha sword could, but that doesn't stop the mecha swords from still happening. But yeah, it isn't just a love letter to the early 90s Gridman, nor even the Tokusatsu series that reigned supreme on the airwaves then, and still kinda do. SSS Gridman is a love letter to an era. After practically begging for years to get an opportunity at a mecha series, Studio Trigger's and long-standing industry vet, Akira Amamiya, created something wholly his own that's best things had little to do with the fact it was mecha, the fact that it was tokusatsu, the fact that it was Gridman. Because wow, it's almost like mecha is less a genre and more something added to another meaningless tag like drama, but hey, I get it, mecha isn't your thing. No need to watch Gridman. So why not instead watch a show that Amamiya crafted with what is most precious in the ontology of his cinema? The capacity to represent the complexity of human experience, to face its contradiction and ambivalences, to look at what is simultaneously destructive and full of hope, transcendent and maddeningly trivial in humanity. Rika and Akane's thighs. Essentially, every single element of Gridman's story reflects thematically on every other element, and the true story of it all isn't over-the-top, beautifully animated mecha kaiju fights, but what everything else surrounding those battles say. And how this series baits you with who the actual protagonists are is so good, holy fuck. Akane and Rika are genuinely two of the best characters this year, two of the hottest as well, and Gridman did not let a generic protagonist ruin that.
頂にきらめく星は一つ。
You know, I strayed clear of watching any idol shows for the longest time, knowing full well it'd be a rabbit hole from which I'd never recover, and Revue Starlight was no exception. Right at first I was reticent to give it a chance, but I'm sure glad that I did. Turns out this drama-filled play featuring a talking giraffe would become my favorite show of the summer. Go figure, right? I hate musicals too. I've never liked them. Yet, much like the ensemble in this story, I fell prey to Starlight's whimsies. In truth, it's far more than a simple musical. The pieces that play out in every episode are merely the delivery method of choice for the emotional growth of the cast. It's evident from the stage itself as it seamlessly molds and morphs to match the turbulent feelings emanating from their performances. As a flurry of lights and color further illuminate the drama unfolding, the build-up is done to perfection. These conflicts are the backdrop for the real human drama between the characters, for the feelings they're struggling to contain and the fears not easily allayed. The music, the choreography, the architecture, they're all designed to illustrate just who they are. And these beautiful representations are what makes Revue Starlight so special. It's a story where dreams and reality have bled together into visual and auditory splendor. There's just so much to say about Revue Starlight. It's so deserving of the praise it's gotten, and there's a plethora of gorgeous shots from it that will long hold fast in my memory. But for now, I'll withhold further compliments for another time.
私の好きってこういうことしたい好きだったんだ。
Against many of the genre conventions expected, or, well, not expected, from anime adaptations of Yuri, Bloom Into You ends up being all text. No sub, only dom. There's very little left to bubbling under the surface. They're gay, but it is so much more than that. That isn't the point. I mean, it's sort of the point, but it's not the point, okay? Listen, it's the sort of series I can imagine someone accidentally ending up getting a hold of and finding their whole life altered from that moment on, realizing more about themselves than 4 years of high school ever could have. There's not many things like that, and that is why Bloom Into You is so much more than just the stupid tags we add to things to make sense of them. It is so much more than just Yuri. It's a poetic sort of cinema that offers free, indirect discourse combined with the naturalistic mimesis of a formalistic vision of our modern world, with its sense of specific social interaction so keen. It's endlessly pleasurable to consume to a point that it is unfair. Everything's pared down to just the essential exchanges, small, intimate exchanges that would be ignored by lesser series. Its ruthless dialogue says not just what's been on its characters' minds, but thoughts that have undoubtedly circled your own mind for years. It understands not just Toko, Sayaka, etc. It understands you. It understood me. And as the relationships in Bloom Into You crack, its crevices reflect not just every selfish or selfless decision born of love, but how important that understanding really is.
Takagi-san was the cutest show of 2018. Don't at me.
Nothing this year made me feel as good as Yuru Camp made me feel in 2018. I said this year and then I realized it was 2018. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna make videos again, maybe, probably. And maybe if I had lost my virginity, that would be different. Maybe that would have felt better. But that's never gonna happen, so camping girls will have to do. And Eurocamp is probably better than sex anyway. You know, kind of perfectly encapsulating the enchantments of camping, and Rin is the fucking best. If you comment anything different, I'm gonna fucking block you on this channel.
Look, I fucking promise it's not lollybait. Alright? There's something intriguing about being thrown into a new world, especially one that mirrors our own. And Oshigato does an awesome job of immersing you into the world of shogi and all the trials people face in trying to make it as a professional. I didn't know a thing about shogi when I went into watching it, but sometimes learning is part of the fun, and Oshigato certainly enjoys diving headfirst into the details. Beyond that though, it's the characters I came to enjoy even more. They display a certain level of respect towards one another, and sensitivity to issues that flies in the face of the conventional, especially the youngsters that make up the core of the cast. Their convictions and their passion are evident in every interaction, every resounding victory and heartbreaking loss. The earnestness they exhibit is infectious, and I can only hope we get a second season, because I'm eager to see where their careers are headed.
Koi wa Amagari no Yo ni anchors itself to a simple focus on maturity in relationships and does so in a realistic way, far removing itself from traditional love story rhapsody. It's about a May-December relationship, a younger woman and an older man, without the gross exploitive feeling. In fact, the exact opposite. It's sweet, built around a modest, sharply defined relationship that's scathing yet perfectly fair. It's channeling of those dynamics between the two, of this relationship that should not work, that should not exist, into something psychologically revealing, but not ostentatiously so. In fact, my best friend, one of my best friends in the world, Matthew, you might know him as RC Anime, Matthew, he had a fucking quarter-life crisis while watching it, and I can't blame him. After the Rain knows how to break you, because it acknowledges that our lives are small and mundane, our emotions are fragile, and it takes that know-how to reach into our small lives to find something so much bigger. Others. Relationships are everything, they mean everything. Living means having a bond with others, paying attention to someone, loving someone, hating someone, having fun being with someone, taking someone's hand. That's all what it means to be alive. These small moments, and if you're all alone, you can't tell that you exist. Your relationships with others is what defines being alive. And After the Rain's living is addictive as it meticulously mines the two sides of Tachibana and Masami's relationship, creating an evocative social contrast. This show didn't only destroy my best friend, Matt. It fucked me up. So now I'm gonna keep making anime videos on YouTube.com because I enjoy this more than my regular life.
Everyone immediately compares Asobi Asobase to Nichijou based solely on the fact that both are somewhat predicated on shock value as the basis for their comedy. But that's pretty much all they have in common, and it's kind of an unfair comparison in my eyes. Where Nichijou goes for the bombastic, boasting a hugely exaggerated visual style full of fucking laser beams and whatnot, its visual comedy is a little more situational. This is where Asobi Asobase finds its own lane, where its absurdity lies more in ridiculous facial expressions rather than outright spectacle. This gave the voice actresses a chance to really shine, and their consistently hilarious delivery has even greater impact because of how ludicrous the characters' faces look at any given moment. Even then, I'm not really doing their voice work justice though. Their performances are genuinely so fantastic, and especially considering how new they are to the industry, they truly deserve all the plaudits. With jokes that have such a clear, satisfying payoff, Asabi Asabase was the funniest show I watched all year, and I find myself returning to scenes just like that last one whenever I'm in desperate need of a good laugh.
You know, the real slow start is how it is already 2019, and you motherfucker, you have not watched Slow Start yet. Go watch it.
何？
タイプじゃねえわ。
そりゃ振られるわ、お前。
Over the years, I've come to realize that romance stories are actually something I appreciate quite a lot. And yes, it's to fill the I haven't been in a relationship in a million fucking years sized void in my cold, dead heart. Now, I'm typically not one to regurgitate the same descriptions that everyone else has surely already put out there, but Wotaku ni Koi wa Muzukashi was so enjoyable simply because its romance was so adult-like in its demeanor. To be clear though, teenage love stories in anime are totally fine, and I've watched and enjoyed plenty. I'm not going to decry those kinds of shows just because they're at times nonsensical. In fact, sometimes that's sort of the point. But this show was genuinely refreshing because it isn't that type of story at all. Silly misunderstandings are resolved within an episode, and frank conversations are had without much drama. It's just about two people finding each other, and it's pleasant and sweet and satisfying to watch for exactly those reasons. Too bad that I'll probably never know what that feels like.
バイオレット、脱出依頼、至急の要件だって。
バイオレットちゃん、お客様がお待ちだよ。
今、行きます。
Packing extraordinary simplicity and range into a compact, tautly constructed story, Violet Evergarden comes out as one of the best and disappointing shows of the year. Now, I'll get to that, but true to modern KyoAni's general pictorial method of composition, every event and relationship is diagrammed in striking compositions, but not all of them were created equal, with frontrunner director Taichi Ishidate not enforcing any sort of rules with the people who guested as a storyboarder or episode director on the better episodes of his series. Talents with more stimulating styles outshined the blander episodes. Fuck it, let's be blunt, Ishidate's episodes. Everyone else made the lesser content just so much more glaring. Honestly, I should just say Violet was one of the best anime of the year, not Violet Evergarden, because it's only one half of the series. That's the reason I'm even saying these words. And that just goes to show how really powerful that half of the series is. How Naoko Yamada's episode was one of impressive emotional acuity, and Haruka Fujita tying it all together into something empathetically visual, but still heartbreakingly passionate as Sokantaku. I loved that show. Not Ishidate's boringly inspired adoration of popular Western cinema. And to be honest, that's probably the exact reason so many others liked it. And that's fine. That is completely fine, you shit-taste weeaboo losers. Violet Evergarden just has a lot to like about it. You liked the half I didn't, and I liked the half that I did.
Who would have thought that by the end of the spring season I'd want to fuck a horse. But here I am, still beating my dick to lewds of the cast. Except Suzuka. She must be protected at all costs. Ultimately, the idol aspect didn't really factor in at all, and it sort of recycled similar plot beats, but I still really enjoyed Uma Musume. You could even look up the results to all the races recreated within the show, and I still think you'd be fully invested in the spectacle unfolding before you. Sports are such a fantastic conduit for raw emotion, and it's so easy to sit there and behold in a great race. The tension, the storylines, despite any similarities arcs might share, it doesn't change the fact that they're consistently set up well, and maybe I'm just a sucker for that little touch of actual history underlining the whole project. It's easy to feel the passion that went into this, especially when horse racing has a much larger interest in Japan than I ever imagined. People still remember Silent Suzuka, and when she survived the horrific fate that actually befell her real-life counterpart, the love for that horse is so tangible, so pure. It surely wasn't one of the strongest shows this year, but damn it, I loved it all the same. Uma Musume, despite its flaws, exuded the love of the people that made it. And, that's plenty for me.
八方美人というブスから抜け出しいつか本当に美しい人に
Yeah, Sword Art Online is really like being in a locked room. And the key to escaping is solving a complex math problem when you're only about as proficient in math as Asuna is in avoiding getting porn drawn of her. More SAO is going to happen. It's an inevitability. And it did. And it made me wish more of the regular SAO was as fun as SAO Alternative was. Season 2, please.
勝負ついたけど、とりあえず納得できた?
Hinamatsuri is a comedy. That's what people will tell you. That's what anime sites will list it as. That's what streaming sites will list it as. But what those people and those sites will not tell you is Hinamatsuri is one of the most grounded, thoughtful, compassionate character dramas of the year. And sure, there's jokes. Sure, it's a comedy, whatever that means in this genre stupid shit, and that's the focus. But those jokes are the focus because they're how Hinamatsuri forces you to engage with and understand the numerous different ways that people express themselves, and it builds off of that comedy until emotional climax for every character burst. Most of the cast can never truly convey the feelings they've built for each other over the course of that journey of 12 episodes, but shockingly, Hinamatsuri's backlash against the idea of its very genre of comedy evokes those exact feelings for some of the most fleetingly powerful scenes of the year, as its jokes stand as a testament to the silliness of genre, making Hinamatsuri something entirely its own, not a comedy. Hinamatsuri is Hinamatsuri, and I want to protect Anzu, and I will die for her! Zombieland Saga. Yeah, that actually describes it pretty well. How do you create something truly original when everyone seems so intent on taking comfort in the familiar? The answer seems at once simple and infinitely complex. You don't aim for comfort at all. You create something original only in so much as you articulate the uncomfortably familiar in ways that no one else has yet. And that is exactly Zombieland Saga. It's something that needs to be experienced. So I'm gonna cut it short right here, even though there's so much more to say about it. But sometimes, instead of words, you just need to drop a beat.